Welcome back to another episode of the Tennis Culture Podcast, proudly sponsored by Ready Athlete Management. Rez, how are you?
Good. Clay court season is almost over.
Thank goodness. Well, really, we're just about to peak. French Open's next week.
It's hitting the peak and then it's onto the grass.
In 3 weeks, it will be over.
Yes, it will be over. But overall, like, weather's getting a little cooler down here where we are.
Yeah.
Loving the cool temperatures, the beanies, the extra jumpers, the extra layers, sleeping better. Yeah, I'm happy as, man. How about you?
Yeah, good. Rome just finished up today. Rome Masters. I almost said Carlos Sinner there. But, Carlos versus Sinner.
Yeah.
Carlos first straight sets defeat of Yannick Sinner since 2023.
Yeah.
First time he's lost straight sets in a couple of years. Carlos on a bit of a tear. I think he's obviously the favourite going into the French, so
Clearly.
it'll be interesting. But it's not what we're going to talk about today. We've been very clay court centric. We're going to kind of dial it back into the recreational and the coaching space a little more. And today we're going to talk about lessons we learnt too late, or lessons we wish we knew earlier as both a player and as a coach. And we've been going through a few of these, and hopefully by mentioning a few of these to any of our listeners, you guys can pick it up a little earlier than us and reap the rewards of our mistakes, so to speak.
As Agassi said, you can learn something from somebody that took 10 years to figure out themselves. Yeah, brilliant.
He said it better than you just did there.
Way better. 10 minutes?
He way better.
Learn in 10 minutes what they learned in 10 years. That's what he said.
What's your first one?
My first one? Oh, my God. All right, well, straight into me. Well, you know what? As a kid, as a young junior growing up, like I played a lot of tennis, obviously, but I started quite late. And when I hit the pro circuit, I just found I wasn't good enough. I didn't understand the value of volume, the correct volume of training. When I was playing, I wasn't training smart enough. Like I wasn't hitting enough balls. I was so inconsistent. And it was in the day, back in my day.
Back in your day.
In the late 90s, you know, it was like everyone was serving and volleying, and big serve was the key in the fast courts. And I didn't realize that the game is so much harder than that. They're so consistent. They're so rally-based. They hit so many balls. And I'm going, oh, my God.
Boring.
So, like, from a player's perspective, I just didn't know how to train. And now that I've been coaching for 20 years, it took me 20 years to figure out how to coach somebody in that realm to get them ready for performance to some degree. And even then, I'm still figuring it out. But it's much clearer now what to do in the volume stakes.
So what is the lesson?
The lesson is the volume of footwork, the volume of hitting. Like hitting, there's nothing wrong with hitting 50 forehands, just working on the swing and the feeling and getting that sort of locked in. So then when I hit the competitive court, I knew what to do. It was just autopilot.
Right. So your lesson is you wish you understood the value of volume earlier.
Yes. Big time.
That kind of leans into mine. I put reps count, but only when done correctly.
That's good.
So I actually found you kicked it off well, but I only half agree with you because I think obviously the volume part is obviously huge. But I knew kids, and I was one of those guys too. Like I hit reps. I when I was a kid training, like I did so many reps.
Yeah.
But I don't think I worked on the reps. People always talk about there's a certain term for it. It's like perfect practice. It's like that 10,000 hour rule only works if it's done perfect practice. And I think that's the problem is people will look at an overall time stamp of how many hours they put in on court, but they won't look at how many of those hours are put in perfectly. Someone had a really good example. It was a guy maybe in his 50s, and he was comparing himself to a guy in his mid-30s, and they both went to the same gym. Now, this guy was on a podcast. He's a businessman, and he had a very average, we'll call it a very average dad bod.
Okay.
And he was talking about this guy that he sees in the gym and who's just jacked, ripped. Like he'd be, 120 kilos of just pure muscle, like 5% body fat. And he made the comparison that both him and this young guy in his 30s, went to the same gym, used the same equipment, were there roughly about the same amount of time per week. And obviously a lot of it has to do with our external, sources of food and how you sleep and recover. But he said a great comparison was, he goes, we don't look the same at all, yet we spend the same amount of time in this gym working out. And I think that's a really good example. If you can be on court 3 times as long as somebody else, but they could be progressing far quicker than you if it's not the perfect practice. So if you do feel like you're in a bit of a rut, or you feel like you've plateaued a little bit, this is when you got to start looking at, all right, well, what kind of training am I actually doing? Am I doing it for a particular purpose. I'm not trying to throw coaches under the bus here, but has my coach got a bit of a plan on how I can progress? Are we doing things just to go through the motions, or are we doing things for a purpose? So you got to start looking at those things. So yeah, that led into mind is reps definitely count. I do agree, but they got to be done with a purpose.
Qualitative, yeah, exactly. Intent. Every ball has to have intent. That's
Agreed.
nice.
I like that one. My next one was there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to win.
Yes.
There's more than one way to be successful. And this more so goes for the high performance environment. But I think if you look at the nature in which we get told to coach, and I'm sure a lot of coaches who've gone through training and development, they would look at, well, we have a player matrix of, let's take a forehand. A player must have a particular grip. You should be teaching them to loop in this manner. You should be teaching them to finish in a certain area. And if they're not following the scientific path to become a great player. And my rebuttal to that is that if you take a screenshot of everyone's forehand, both men and women in the top 50, no two are the same. So there's more than one way to be successful. You need to work to what works for you, your body, your genetics, how much you can work on it. And not only that, but like how confident you feel using those things in a match play scenario. Look at Ash Barty. I mean, she won 3 Grand Slams with no topspin backhand. Just slice for days.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like, she has no topspin backhand.
Yeah.
You know, but she won 3 Grand Slams, was world number 1 for years.
Yeah.
And I don't think many people would be teaching that with young girls these days.
No.
I just think we got to be a little bit careful with being so strict with technique. I think there's more than one way to develop a player. And we got to kind of lean into the player rather than the player leaning into a one-size-fits-all manner.
Brilliant. Well said. I am going to do what you did to me in terms of leaning in that point. My next one was how to teach the client, not the tennis.
That's good.
So, you know, early on, everyone sort of looks at a player and goes, all right, we need to have this grip, this forehand, like you just said. But there's also like what the player wants. So I had this phenomenal moment where, and I was doing a few high-performance kids, like developing them to higher tournaments. And there was one kid that was coming out to one of my squads, and he was, you know, a good athlete, soccer player, but he played tennis as well. And he had the most extreme forehand, the most bizarre backhand, but he ripped this forehand, but it was weird. Like, it was almost full Western.
Yeah.
And I was just going, oh my God, the technique is bad and this and that, and oh my God. And, you know, just the usual coaching blunder where you go, that's bad. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would teach it differently. And then one of my young coaches, Middo, shout out to Middo from Bathurst, he's the most laid-back, chilled guy ever. He just goes, wow, what a great forehand.
Yeah.
Look at that guy.
That's great.
I'm like, you like it? Why do you like it? And he goes, well, it's for him. Like, he's not going to go serious and go pro.
That's gold.
But he loves it. And he plays well. And he does some cool stuff with it. I'm like, that's a really good point. Man, you got me. And I was just thinking to myself, what do the kid actually want? And I did this every time. When I got a young kid coming to me and goes, I want to go pro, I want to play the Australian Open, I want to do this. I'm like, that's fantastic. Let's train towards that. Let's find your swing and find the right shot. The second you don't want to do this, you don't want to go Australian Open, you'd rather go fun, play some tournaments, improve, learn some new stuff, we change the avenue. We change the lesson dynamic a little bit.
I think a really good point of that is everyone's journey is different. But I think the thing I just took out of that from your standpoint is we're there to educate more than anything else. So therefore, if they choose to hit a forehand a certain way, it's not our job to like make them, it's our job to educate them and say, hey, look, through my experience as a tennis coach, I can tell you the pros and cons of this forehand. But at the end of the day, this is your journey. So I can tell you that with such an extreme grip, things you might run into some elbow problems. You might run into some injury. But if you're loose, flexible, you
move well,
that might be exactly the way you dominate.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, you can create some incredible spin, some crazy height over the net. On the flip side back again, you might struggle with a slower ball because you need some pace to generate and get that ball, deeper in the court. But on the plus side, you're going to beat a lot of players who have a one-handed backhand.
Yeah.
Your job is not necessarily to give them strict orders. That's not what we need to do as coaches. Our job is to educate them and help them make the best decision possible so they can successfully tick the box of their tennis journey.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. On that weird note of what you just said, one of the things I put down as a player, again, I was raised in the 90s, so forgive me. I put down the value of a semi-Western forehand grip.
You're an idiot. No.
Because like I hit so flat. Like I had this big forehand, but it was so flat. It was so inconsistent, and it was almost Eastern to Conti. Like it was almost that far around. And we were, Australia's all synthetic grass court, especially back in the 90s. It's converting to clay and hard court a bit more.
Yeah.
But my story is I went to the US and I played on green clay or hard true over there in Florida.
Yeah. They had that in Texas too.
They did.
Crazy.
And one of the things, obviously the humidity killed me. But on top of that, I had this lesson with this Div 1 college player and he was a gun. He was really good. And we played, he said, let's play 2 sets. I want to get 2 sets practice. We had a hit first. And man, the ball bouncing up on my forehand, like I did not know what to do. And I'm serving and volleying and doing one-hand backhands, like Pete Sampras kind of rolling it up top because I can't do anything. I'm slicing a lot. And obviously I died in the second set, got smashed. Tiebreaker in the first set, I did well. I won the first set. But I was just like, okay, I got to change my forehand. And I changed my forehand at 23, 24. I'm like, okay, I need to go semi-west, and it made sense.
So again, I don't think necessarily you need to pigeonhole it too much of the importance of this. I think a great way to sum that lesson up would be, I wish I knew the importance of the variety of different grips and again, have the education to what will give me benefits and disadvantages in certain situations. Yeah. Because, I think sometimes we just get pigeonholed into a one-size-fits-all matter of like, I play this way, therefore I need to only learn and I need to completely master this particular style of tennis in order to be successful. Yeah,
and I think just the value of like margin, spin, shape, using that kind of stuff. I didn't know anything about that. It was like go for winners, flat line, flat backhand down the line, look for the opportunities, get the net. I wish I had just a bit more of that variety, like you said. So the semi-Western grip is probably specific, but it is broader. Yeah, something like that.
Well, my version of that is the slice. I think slice is still underrated. I think a good slice is underrated.
Big time. We
had a cool little meeting with Blazo. Blazo is a professional tennis coach on the tour at the moment. He coaches Tom Fancutt. Fancutt, shout out to Tom. He's searching to get back in that top 50 doubles. Hell of a player. Anyway, we had a lunch with him at the start of the year, and he was talking about some of the Blazo, the coach. He was talking about some of the best coaches he ever worked with, and he said one of the best bits of tennis advice he ever got was 2 words: slice line. Whenever you're in trouble, slice line, which means slice down the line, cuts off all sort of like angles, momentum, spins, and it's a real good neutralizer to have. If you've got a good low slice down the line, you can kind of get yourself back into play. And we just spoke about Ash Barty winning Grand Slams off it. So I think slicing, learn the art of the slice. That was probably one thing that I was really happy I was able to be competitive because I had a slice. And I want anyone to know out there that maybe that might be what's missing from your game. The next lesson I learnt was probably like a 2-pronged lesson about coaching. And as a coach, one of the lessons I learnt was when a person comes in to get a lesson from you, they don't know anything that happened prior to the lesson starting. They don't know what you've been through that morning. They don't know what you've been through that week. They don't know what you've been through that month, that year. They have no idea. The only thing they know about is within that lesson to a degree. Obviously, we have clients that, you're a bit more personable with. You tell them and you open up about your personal life and vice versa. But the majority of people, when they come to you, they don't know what's happened prior to the lesson. So when they come into your lesson, sometimes we can sometimes act as though, if they only knew how hard of a morning I had, I've done 6 hours of coaching and, they've come here and they're just showing that little bit. I think we need to show a little bit of understanding. They're like, no, they don't know what we've been through. And on the flip side, we have no idea what they've been through. They could come into us and they could have had the worst week of their life, and this could be their outlet. And if we're slightly off or we're dismissive or we're egotistical, that can be something that can just continue to add to their stress and put weight on their shoulders of like, damn, like life's hard at the moment. Yeah. So I think we need to be a little bit more open-minded in terms of being understanding that they don't know exactly what we've been through. And at the same time, we need to understand that they've got a whole separate life outside of this 1 hour a week. They could be going through a great time. They could be going through a tough time. It's our job just to deliver what they want in that moment. So, yeah, be a little more understanding, a little more patient, I think.
The court is its own world, isn't it? That's how I treat it now. Like,
the bubble, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an escapism, in my opinion. So, that's brilliant. I really like that. And you go on the court resetting to zero. So even if you've had a bad day, I don't know about you, when I feel bad or have had a bad day or a bad moment in life, going on the court kind of resets me a little bit, gives me a bit of energy. It helps me escape that a little bit. And I know that when we do adult clinics, even kids clinics, kids go through stuff too, man.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of stuff.
100%.
And the fact that they go out there and you can make their day, like it's important to do that. And energy is a two-way street. You give it to them, they give it back.
100%.
And the joy is there.
I think I've never felt more compartmentalized of when I'm in a lesson. And now I think about it, when I'm delivering a lesson, I'm barely thinking about anything else. I'm very good. Outside life, I'm like ADHD goes through the wall.
You are.
I'll start making breakfast at the same time. Oh, I need to iron my shirt. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do this. I'm horrible at focusing on one task. However, when it comes to coaching, why are you laughing?
Just thinking about the SD card.
Oh, yeah, I had the SD card. Oh, got the SD card. Oh, got to do this. Anyway, but when it comes to coaching, for that hour that I'm coaching you, I'm in that moment. I'm not thinking about anything else.
When you're out there, I can tell like that's your world right there. That student is your world and that's what you're focusing on the most. It's brilliant.
It's a cool little superpower to have for both coaches and clients, I think, to be able to shut off everything from the world, go into the bubble, so we speak, and then come out of the bubble hopefully energized and motivated to, take on whatever's next.
That actually leads to the energy part. My next lesson that I learned. As a young coach, you can do this probably a lot more. But energy management.
I've got that too.
Huge. Yeah, huge. And the problem is that when people, let's be honest, as young coaches, as growing up, we were very energetic. We really gave it our all, and we still do. And we just didn't know how to say no. And we still don't know how to say no. So when people come up and ask, can we have a lesson? Can we do this? Can we do that? I've learned now in my 40s to say no.
You're 40?
44. You know this.
I know. I just stirring the pot.
Yeah, thanks, mate. But yeah, so I am learning to say no and manage my energy because the clients that I do have or the people I do teach at the moment, if I'm really tired and I'm pushing myself and I get sick or I'm unhealthy or I'm not feeling good or I can't run or I'm tired, I'm going to be no good to them and no value to them. I need to be at my peak. So I got to learn to look after what I can and look after myself as well and balance it out. I still do a lot of hours, and so do you. Like you told me about your Saturdays. That was
dumb.
Saturdays, just so you guys know, like we used to do 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning, and we go all the way till like 6 at night because Saturday's a big peak day for coaching, and everybody's available. But then you don't have another day off; like you only have Sunday. So we've gone down to 1.5 days. And your 1.5 days and mine too have extended from like finishing at 12, 12:30, maybe 1. I could squeeze one more in.
It is, I literally, this time a year ago, I was just doing the 9 to 12 Saturday morning sports. I was like, great, perfect. But then someone goes, hey, can I just sneak a half hour in? I'm like, yeah, all right, 8:30 to 9. I'm like, oh, I see they're doing it. Now I'm doing 6:30 to 3. I'm just like, it's growing again. I'm 6:30 a.m. to 3 in the Arvo. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, and you call me.
Chill.
And you call me like, Rez, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Anyway, no, I agree. Energy management, huge for coaches. And I think you don't want to burn out. We've definitely gone through the highs and lows of coaching. And it's not I don't think it's as cruisy and easy as what everyone thinks it is. But on the flip side of that, in terms of as a player, this is going to sound a little contradictory, but I think as a player, energy is huge. Energy is everything. But I can still relate. Energy management as a player is everything. Yeah. I put energy over everything was my next lesson as a player. So just while we're on the topic of energy, and I think once you reach a certain level of technique and tactics, I think what separates the next round of players is the energy you put into your matches. Carlos Alcaraz is an extremely great example of this. And whilst he is a roller coaster, the momentum waves can go, we can see what energy can do. He can bully people off the court with energy. Short story is I played Albury this year, or for those who don't know, Albury, big Easter tournament. I haven't played in 2 years. And I got put in the top division, entered in the top division, got a wild card, needed to prove myself. Played this young kid first round, and I kind of went in there with a monotone kind of energy. I'm like, I'll be able to slice, craft my way out. Almost got chopped, but I was able to get the victory. So I won the first round, but then I come up against the number 1 seed because I got a wild card, didn't get a great draw. But I knew going in against the number 1 seed, the only way I was going to have any chance against him was to just throw the kitchen sink at him with energy. And I did that. And for the whole first set, I was serving big. Every shot I hit with my my most full commitment. I was ripping shots going, I can hit this for a win across court, and I'm going to fully exert myself on every shot. And it was paying off. We were going tit for tat. It was hold serve, hold serve, hold serve, hold serve. And we got to 4-all in the first. He broke. And then I died.
Energy management.
Energy management, yeah. Obviously at my age, against some of these guys in their mid-20s, I just can't compete anymore. But I was competitive. And I think that's what a lot of people got to realize is energy can do a lot of good things for you. And sometimes you could be doing everything right, but you're just not putting enough into what you're doing. So add a little more energy and I think you'll be fine.
And I think it goes back to your very first one, energy management mixed in with like qualitative training, qualitative play.
Yeah.
Learn to manage your ups and downs. I had this, I remember we did the first pro tour ages ago. You know, the Canberra International started like in 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was one of the first 2 weeks the first 2 years we did it. And I met this guy, this American player named Nathan Pasha. I remember Nathan.
I remember Nathan Pasha. He came to Canberra a few times.
Lovely guy. And he was ranked about 300 in the world.
He used to date Liz Cabrera.
That's right.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. We probably don't bring that up to Lizette.
Liz fun. Yeah. Liz is shining.
Yeah, she's good. Anyway, so I spoke to him, and he was a nice guy. And I was like, what are you focused on? He good like this today. You playing this guy? Okay, cool. What are you going to do? And he goes, look, I'm just going to play 100 points really well. I'm just going to play 100 points as best I can. That's all I'm going to do, one at a time, and give maximum effort per point. For 100 points. If I can do that, I'm proud, I'm happy. I hopefully get the W. He's still ranked 300 in the world at the time, but
we'll edit that part out.
which is by the way brilliant. He was amazing. Unreal. He was unreal. But it was a cool quote. I'm like, okay, that makes sense because
I like that.
Again, back to more statistics and knowledge of the game. You don't realize that you lose like Federer, Djokovic, Nadal. These are dominant players for years and years and years.
Yeah,
they've lost half their points. My
favorite stat I throw at people's faces is Federer's best year, 2005, 2006.
It would have been one of those, yeah.
One of his years where he's world number one the whole year. He wins 3 out of the 4 slams. His winning record was something insane.
Yeah.
My favorite stat to throw at people is his point ratio was 54%.
Yeah.
54%.
Dominant year.
The most dominant year on record for any tennis player ever. If you break it down into singular points, he was only winning 54% of the points.
And if you add all the numbers up, you go down the track, it's 1 for 1.
Pretty much, yeah.
Win 1, lose 1.
Yeah, it's just those big points, those pressure points.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that matter.
They're the ones that the Swiss chocolate comes through.
Last two I'm going to do is mine are a little bit more technical on this one. If you're struggling for serves, if you're really having a hard time with your serves and being competitive with your serves, take some time in your training block and work on hitting 2-second serves. And I do this with a lot of my clients a lot of the time is they'll have a good second serve with a good amount of spin, and they'll have a very, very contrast opposite end. They'll have a big, heavy, flat serve. And I encourage them. I'm like, hey, why don't we work on your go-to serve, your $1 million serve? I always say, hey, if $1 million on the line, how are you serving? And most of them serve with some sort of spin, whether it be kick, top spin, slice. I'm like, what if we just learn how to do that serve, but at multiple different paces? And I get them to do let's just say their slice serve is unreal. So that's their second serve. And they do it at like 70% of their pace. Like, what if we did that 70% of your pace on a second serve for your second serve? But then on the first serve, we did the exact same motion. We just turned the dial up to 90%. You're now doing the exact same motion, and you're doing it every single time now. And now we're going to get confident because it's something that we're repetitively doing. We're not chopping and changing between flat serve, slice serve, flat serve, slice. We build confidence. And I always use the analogy of if I was to learn a language and I had 1 year to learn a language, okay, and I just kept doing learning the same language every single day, I would probably have a fair chance of getting pretty good at that language. However, if I said, hey, I want you to work on 2 or 3 different languages in the same year, my attention then gets divvied out a little bit less to each one. So therefore, I'm not as focused on mastering one. And I usually find that a lot of people will get a lot better rewards by having a good, solid first serve that is not necessarily big, heavy, and flat, but more placement, slice, and it's just consistent. You get more first serves and you build pressure. And I think the psyche of returning a first serve as a returner is totally different compared to returning a second serve. Regardless of what comes at you,
correct,
it's the psyche of, oh, this is a first serve. I'm probably not going to be able to attack it as well as, oh, he faulted. let's go. I can
Step
attack this.
in.
Step in.
Let's go.
So I think the importance of working on 2-second serves,
Yes.
I think is a huge one, and one I really drive home.
Gets the
a
reps.
lot. Gets the reps.
Gets the quality reps.
Quality reps.
Yeah. I'm going to zoom through this last one. And this one is, I'm going to just give you a compliment, so don't get too big of a head here. Yes. The value of teaching aids, gimmicks, when I say gimmicks, like good gimmicks and games. Good, fun, creative, different games.
Gamification, baby.
Gamification. It is fun. The kids love it. They love playing a game. They don't love drilling all day. I still do a little bit, but the games, and make up games. Change games. Do different games.
Oh, man, the amount of games I have. I've been given drills, and then I just like, all right, how can my weird creative mind come up and turn this into a game?
You know what you need to do?
Yeah.
Bring out Monopoly again. Tennis Monopoly.
Tennis Monopoly.
It's hidden in the back of the air. He made a big board, guys. It's pretty cool.
Maybe next week. All right, cool. All right, we're going to throw it to a quick little break. Hopefully you guys got a bit out of that with our lessons learned too late. And when we come back, we're going to go through a little bit of a game of our own. Never Have I Ever Tennis Edition. We're going to see who has done the most or not done the most. I don't really know how the game works. It's usually a drinking game. We're not going to drink. We're just going to have fun.
Yes, we are.
All right, throw it to a break. And we're back. A classic drinking game, Rez, Never Have I Ever, has been passed down from generation to generation, and we are going to play right here in the studio without the drinking. I just want to see, we'll get a little scoreboard going here. We'll go red. Hang on.
Oh, there's a lot of numbers there. I got the score. I got the scoreboard.
You got a scoreboard? All right, so we'll just give you a tally. So if you've never heard of the game, one person says, Never have I ever eaten 6 eggs for breakfast. So I've never eaten 6 eggs in a row for breakfast. You probably have.
I have.
So therefore, you would put a finger down. But today, we're just going to keep a tally.
Tally. One for you.
One. Well, no, that'd be one for you. So
because I have done it.
Yeah. So whoever's got the most tallies at the end loses.
Right.
Got it.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
All right.
It's like Hangman.
Now, this goes for players and coaches. And if you're playing at home, let us know what your score is. Let us know how many of these you put a finger down for.
Bring it on.
All right. Are you ready? Never have I ever eaten a hot meal while coaching. Come on, I know you have.
I have to have.
Beef stroganoff between feeds. I've seen it.
Like millions of protein bars, yogurts.
No, that's different.
No, I know.
That's snacky food. I'm talking about a hot meal. I do shakes, I do yogurts, I do that, but I can't say I've had a hot meal while coaching. I know you have.
Okay, look, I can't remember doing it, but it's pretty fair that I have done it. I'm sure I have.
Rez. Put a point down.
Oh, that's like a half point, maybe?
No, that's a point. I've seen you eat a burrito bowl on court. Let's go.
Okay.
Shout out some burritos.
Well, this is a really basic one. I'm going to start fresh. I'm a guaranteed win on this one. Never have I ever smashed a racket and thrown it over the fence combined?
No, but I haven't. I've done it for skits and videos, but I've never, ever done it.
You really?
In a match. Never.
No.
Never. I've never. Okay. I have never smashed a racket on court ever in my life. My dad would have... My dad drilled into me because you ever smash a racket, you're done. You're done for the day.
Well done.
However, I have definitely smashed a racket once the match is over, gone off the court, and then gone to town with a racket. So I think that is a half point.
Yeah.
Because I never did it on court. I never wanted to show disrespect on court. I go into private, and then I've done it. No, but you know what this idiot did to me one time? No, I swear. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
We're playing Bermagui Open. This is back in the day. It was a big tournament. Open men's semi-final.
Yeah.
I'm playing this old codger. And when I say old codger, I was 16. He was probably 30. Anyway, he was crafty. He was moving me around. And I lost the first set, come back in the second, and it's like tit for tat. Anyway, the winner of this goes through the final, and the finalist is watching, and he's watching us going, yeah, wear each other out, and it's a grind. I'm starting to cramp up. Anyway, he ends up winning, right? He wins the match in a tiebreak, and I'm pissed. Few easy volleys. As he steps off the court, I swear, no word of a lie. Match is over, steps off the court, he goes through. I'm off the court, I'm okay. 5 minutes goes by, and the referee comes down and says, hey, great match. That was awesome to watch. I hope you're not feeling too bad about it. I'm like, no, it's fine. And I said, when's the final going to be played? Because I think they had to get that. They're like, oh, well, there's not going to be a final. Wayne, the man that you just played, he's pulled out. And I'm like, excuse me, what? He goes, yeah, after your match, he pulled up. He's too tired. He's got a bit of an injury. He doesn't feel comfortable going to the match. I'm like, are you, what? Excuse me? I said some things I can't say on this podcast. I took my racket. I went over to a tree, and I almost tore down that tree with the racket. I'm like, are you kidding me? 5 minutes. Just when it gets to match point, you know if you're not going to play the next.
Yes.
I'm a big advocate because I defended Nadal when he did this at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
He beat Fritz in 5 sets and then 2 days later retired from that. But 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5?
Yeah, because you got 2 days to
5
recover.
minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah, no.
I hate you, Wayne. Wherever you are, Wayne, I hope you kick your toe on the coffee table so hard today. Obviously, I'm not over it.
I hope your shoelaces fray.
Anyway, that's the point for me.
Still a win for Rez. Okay.
I hope your porridge gets cold quickly. I don't know.
Hope you spill your coffee in your car.
I hope you lose all of your charges. And
Next
then
burrito eat, you spill it everywhere.
I hope you choke. That's a bit far.
That's far.
Not die, just a little reminder. Ooh.
Discomfort.
Yeah, a little discomfort. I hope you get indigestion. Damn you, Wayne.
Let's move on from Wayne.
Sorry.
It's getting dark. Go for it. Shoot.
My turn. Okay. Never have I ever blamed outside conditions for a loss. So that be the wind, my shoes, the court surface. Never have I ever blamed an external source for a loss.
No. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah,
No.
fair enough.
I don't think so.
Good job.
I'm not good enough. Do you know what I mean? To blame other things.
Yeah.
Like I just
Like,
wasn't
nope,
good enough.
that was me.
Yeah,
Yep.
my bad.
Yep.
Yeah, not good enough. I mean,
No, that'll get some people at home, though.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
All right.
sure. Balls, wind, sun, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. This might discredit us as coaches, but
Come
I'm
on.
sure,
No,
I'm sure
no,
you've
no,
done
I've got a few of them.
Everyone's done it. All right. Coached a morning adults clinic or class with a hangover, like a heavy hangover.
When I was younger, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger.
Yeah.
In my Nukes days, anyone who knows Nukes Tennis Academy, one of the greatest establishments of all time. The adult program there, man, wild.
Wild.
Definitely when I was younger, I had some rough mornings on court.
You got a particular story? I've got one.
Go for it.
Okay, so big night in Miami. I'm running a club, not running a club. I'm part of a club in Miami downtown. Very bougie, very bougie. Anyway, big night out. Go to the clinic. Smell the breath of tequila on me, and I don't drink. I'm not a drinker, so when I drink, it hits me hard. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a Cadbury, as you know. So I'm tasting it. I'm feeling it. I'm dry all the way through my entire body. I run this clinic. I am a jerk. I am yelling at people.
Really?
I'm quite not aggressive, but just like
To the point. Yeah,
move
you're
it,
hungover.
hurry up. Anyway, the clinic finishes, and people come to me and go, "That was the best clinic ever."
Just need a bit of alcohol, mate.
Wow, that's not encouraging at all.
I will say this, though. I got a buddy of mine, Sal Barbaro. Shout out to Sal Barbaro. He said that some of the best clinics he ever ran was when he was hungover because he would wake up in the morning and he would feel that he needed to show everyone, all right, how good he really was because he wasn't he needed to step up a level. Whereas if he felt fresh, he's like, I can just kind of go through the motions,
Everyone can do
autopilot. He had I'll put it this way, when Sal was hungover, he had a point to prove that he was still one of the best damn coaches out there. And shout out to Sal. I saw some incredible clinics run by Sal with one eye open, feeding the wrong direction, smelling of tequila. Shout out to Sal. Love you, buddy.
Sal, well done. All right, your turn.
Never have I ever faked an injury, whether playing or coaching.
No,
Cool. Let's move on then.
no, I'd never do that.
All right, cool. Yours?
I just get hurt.
That's fine.
For realsies.
That's fine. Next.
Oh, you're upset about that one. Okay. Or this is a very niche one. This is a small one. Never have I ever fed a particular. You know when you get this is when you get mixture of tennis balls in your basket.
Yeah.
You know. Never have I ever fed a bad ball on purpose to an annoying student.
100% I have.
You have.
I do it every week.
Yeah.
Yep. Give me 2 points because that's every week. Every week.
I'm gonna give myself a point.
Yeah,
because
I think
do
you
that-
should.
I do that too.
Yeah. No, 100% I do that. Well, someone who doesn't move their feet, I put a dead ball in them.
Or when they
Go on.
complain about the ball, I'm like, all right, you get another one.
Yeah, well, you think that was bad? You wait for this one. Okay, this is going to call out a lot of coaches here.
Okay.
Never have I ever been pretending to find the perfect ball in the basket when really I'm checking my phone. I've done it. Usually I'm checking a text from a client. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't go on and scroll Instagram or anything.
No.
I'm usually checking a text. If it's a client, maybe raining, checking the time. I'm usually not doing anything too bad, but I've definitely been known to throw the phone in the basket and then check it while I'm grabbing them. I'm like, let me just find the perfect ball.
I will defend. That's a point.
Yeah, give me a point.
Yeah. I will defend you and say, well, we run a business as
We do
well.
run
So
a
there's
business.
other components to it as well, other communications required. But, since we got the Garmin, by the way, since we got the Garmin, I just don't, it just goes, "Whoop," and look at it.
Shout out to Garmin.
Shout out to Garmin. Free watches.
All right,
Is it my turn?
you're up.
All right. Let me see here. Ooh, this is a playing one. Never have I ever hit an opponent on purpose.
Point for me.
Okay. Is it a regular thing?
I mean, in doubles, yeah.
Doubles, yeah.
But I do it in two. There's two parts for me. I do it in. If I like you, I'll still try and tag you if it's doubles. If it's just close contact at the net, I'm trying to tube you, get it down at your feet, get a point. Of course I am.
That's part of it.
But I've definitely 1,000,000% purposely tried to tag someone. But it's usually only if they've ever tried to tag me first.
Yeah.
I'll never go after someone and hit them physically if they haven't done it to me first. But if they've done one, then maybe haven't done a sorry, I'm like, ho. I'm like, hey, Buster, let's go, man. You know what to do.
Drop shot, bring him in, and kapow.
100%. Yeah, I get a point for that.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, never have I ever hit a serve or any shot for that matter and fell over because of the force. Now, I've fallen over because I've been diving, but never have I been so unathletic that I've fell over while hitting a ball.
I think I'm sure I have.
I know you would have. You're a big dopey thing.
You know what happened though? I think it was I threw the ball up and they called mid swing and said, wait, there was another ball coming through and I couldn't. I don't know. I stopped half of my momentum at the end, and the other half just kept going, and I just kind of flipped out.
You seen that guy? You seen that guy on? You seen that guy on socials? He goes to do a serve and completely air swings and just hits his shoulder, just boom. Yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
I could picture you doing something.
I might have landed on my feet. No, I didn't.
You're not a cat. All right. Next.
I'm gonna. I had a drug question, but if you listen to episode 35, you'll hear Nelson's.
No, here we go.
That's cheating, so I'm not going to leave that one.
This is a stitch up. No, do it. That's fine.
I got it.
Come on.
Never have I ever taken drugs on the court.
Now, disclaimer: we're not talking about. This is not party drugs.
Not recreation.
This is
Prescription.
Medication. Yes, I took sleeping pills on the court. Yes, I thought it was paracetamol. Yes, I threw up mid-match. And yes, I still won the match.
I'm going to throw that in at the end.
Yep.
Sleeping pills. How many did you take?
4 times the recommended dose. Followed by a giant can of Red Bull to even things out.
That's a drug in itself. Red Bull. Lesson learned, read the packet.
Read the packet. All right. My turn. Similar to your dead ball comment. Never have I ever made a drill harder just because a client was annoying.
Oh, God, yes.
I do it on purpose, man.
All the time.
All the time.
But you see, okay.
Sorry, pause.
Yeah.
If you listen to the first half of this podcast, we're like, we never know what someone's dealing with off court. We need to be open-minded. Let's just reel it back to 20 minutes ago. And now when they're annoying, yep, sorry, mate.
Vindictive as it.
We're doing pyramid sets right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so it's more like it ups my standard. You know what up my standard? I'm going with the vibe of the group, but then if someone's calling me out, it's like, oh, my heart rate barely got up above 80 or 90 or something. All right, well, hey, let's go.
All right, let's run.
Side to side with a burpee. No reason at all. All right, well played.
All right, you're up.
All right.
I got 4 more. What do you got?
I've got 2 more.
Okay, that's right. We'll just compare.
Yeah, okay. Never have I ever yelled at my doubles partner. Yelled.
Never yelled. I've talked sternly and said some harsh words. Mind you, my doubles partner is my brother.
Yeah.
If outside of my brother, I've never said anything negative ever to anybody. And I've never yelled at Buster either.
No, okay.
Ever in a million years.
No.
I've brought him in. Probably the harshest thing I've ever said is I'm like, I probably can't say what the harshest thing I've ever said. No, I probably just said something along the lines. I'm like, hey, I'm keeping us in this. You need to up your game.
Try a spin on your second serve, Buster.
No. That's coaching. That's fine.
Yeah.
I would say something along the lines of like, I can't carry us forever. You need to step up. Something along that.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Some mental get
uppercut.
Yeah, straight up there. All right, fair enough. Good call. All right, I'm not going to get a point for that.
Never have I ever worn a sweaty shirt back-to-back days. I'm OCD. If I wear it for an hour and then I have a break, I got to change shirt.
No. I barely wear one for the whole day.
Yeah, me too.
I sweat like 3 times as much as you do.
You do.
Yeah, so that's a no. That's a no.
All right.
This is my last one. Okay, never have I ever played a tennis match free balling.
No, I can't say I have.
Yeah?
Thank goodness. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
emergency, no random like, whoops.
No, never gone commando. No.
No?
I did used to play competitive tennis, not in undies, but in boxes. So it's kind of the same thing.
No, there's a protective layer.
I mean, there's a protective layer, but the things are
There's
still.
no compression.
They're still. Not cool.
Talking for myself.
Not cool. Not cool. It was cold. All right. Never have I ever lied about my UTR.
No,
I don't know it half the time.
I'm not registered.
I had to get you to look it up. By the way, you seen my UTR lately?
I think I told you.
I'm almost back up to 10, baby.
Are you going to play another one?
No, yeah, next year.
You are?
One a year.
Albury. Only
Albury
grass.
next year. Only grass, baby.
There's a clay court tournament coming up.
Yuck. All right, last two. Never have I ever, I got to give myself a point for this, by the way. Never have I ever used coaching as an excuse to avoid social plans.
Yeah.
I've definitely done it, man. I'm like, so I got a lesson. Can't. Can't come to your birthday, Grandma. Sorry.
Whoa. Really?
Oh, it's just an example.
To your game?
Oh, gam.
Fair call. Yeah, I've done it before.
I've done it before.
Yeah. I mean, but it's truth, though, because I'm tired from the coaching.
Yeah.
Previously. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Yeah, for sure.
And finally, never have I ever, I got to give myself a point for this too. Never have I ever made up a coaching term on the spot to sound smart.
Yeah.
I feel like I do it daily.
I think it's just like verbal tennis coaching diarrhea. It's just like, bleh, it just comes out.
I come up with analogies. I come up with drills. I come up with terminologies. I come up with words, everything on the spot.
Yeah. Most of mine don't make sense.
People just trust me. They're like, oh yeah, that 100%. And then I even say something like, hey, have you heard of the tactic roundabout tutti frutti? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, how? I just made it up in my head. I'm like, oh, well, you will know that means that we attack thread to the backhand, to the forehand, come in and go blah, and then put away the volley.
Do any of them make sense in your head? Or
They all make sense in my head. Yeah.
okay.
That was obviously a dumb example, but
Yeah.
I definitely make up terminology, tactics, plans, drills on the fly to sound smart, for sure.
What's your go-to? Do you have one? I have one that I did ages ago, and I've kind of stuck with it a little bit.
Analogy-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always use the race car analogy. So the race car analogy is when you're trying to learn a new skill, such as driving, how do you start? You start slow.
Yeah.
But I use it both ways. I contradict myself. So I use it slow. I'm like, hey, Formula One drivers, do you think they never driving before? Do you think the first time they got into a car, they started driving at 250 kilometers an hour? Like, no. I'm like, exactly. So you want to start slow, and then when you get more and more confident with it, you speed it back up. I say that to people who are trying to go 100 miles an hour. But then to other people who don't hit the ball hard enough, I say to them, I'm like, hey, when F1 drivers practice driving, do you think they practice driving at 40 kilometers an hour? No. They practice driving at 250. Why? Because that's how they want to do it in real life. So if you want to hit a forehand winner, you're going to have to practice speeding it up a little bit. So I kind of bended the analogy. But the F1 drivers, I say F1 driver like every day.
Yeah, Drive to Survive really opened your eyes. I have the biscuit theory.
Hit me.
So what's your favorite biscuit?
I'm a sucker for a Tim Tam.
Okay, so Tim Tams. If I give you 10 Tim Tams, okay, 10 Tim Tams, and then immediately straight away grab 5 of them and throw them in the bin, is that a waste?
Oh, yeah.
100%, right?
Huge waste.
So if I give you 10 forehands and you concentrate for 5 and then the other 5 go woo-dee-doo-dee-doo,
It's a waste.
is it a waste?
Big time.
We just wasted 5 forehands.
All right, let's not do that again. All right, guys. Hopefully you hopefully got something out of the episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
I had fun.
If you did, like, click, share, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about us. Until next time, this is Nelson and Raz from Tennis Culture Podcast signing
Out.
Good Anzac biscuit too. Can't go wrong.
Absolutely.
Nice coffee.
Homemade dip.